Soft sunlight had spilled through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the luxury hotel suite. The Manhattan skyline had glowed beyond the glass. For the first time in days, silence. No screaming fans, no cameras, no rehearsals, just Joo-Won and Mee-Mee. She had been curled comfortably against him, still asleep. His arm had been wrapped securely around her waist, as if letting go had never been an option. Slowly, she opened one eye. She looked down and realized he was somehow holding her even tighter than before. Mee-Mee chuckled, "My baby has a good grip." Without opening his eyes, Joo-Won replied, "Sure do." She laughed, then glanced up at him. "You know you have to leave tomorrow." He finally opened one eye. "Exactly why I need maximum wife time today." She smiled and gently brushed his cheek. "Velcro Husband." He grinned. No denial, no embarrassment, only pride. "Best title I've ever had." She laughed, and he leaned in to kiss her forehead. But of course, Joo-Won could not start this day without singing to his new wife.
Velcro hubby on his track, you got all my love, baby, that's where it's at, looking like a snack, there's nothing that you lack, your pic on my phone feels like home to me, baby, can't you see, stuck on you, that's my hobby, if you move one room, I'm right behind, baby, got me smiling hard, got me looking crazy, but you love that part, you said come here, baby. Stuck on you, it's my hobby. Everywhere you go, I can't get enough. Baby, that's my love language. I love you tough. You let me down, ain't no letting go. Stuck on you, that's my hobby.
They only had a few precious days where they could simply be husband and wife. Not celebrities, not influencers, not performers, just two people completely in love. Because tomorrow they would be apart. Late that evening, Joo-Won's suitcases had lined the hotel hallway. Ji-sun had been calling about as often as Bruno had been knocking on the door. Security had been checking schedules. The tour was moving again. The tour was moving on, and reality had returned. Kairos 5 was leaving for Chicago. Mee-Mee had walked with Joo-Won toward the elevators. Neither of them had said much. When the elevator doors had opened, they stopped. He pulled her into one last hug. She held him tighter. Neither of them wanted to let go. Joo-Won cupped her face. "You know you're coming to watch another show again. I need to talk to Ji-sun about where. Maybe the show in Paris or in Tokyo." Mee-Mee squeezed him even tighter. "You had me at your coming to watch." He laughed. "My very own Velcro wife." She smiled against his chest and whispered into his heart, "In the flesh." He leaned down to kiss her one more time. Then Bruno cleared his throat with exaggerated drama. He was standing inside the elevator. Bruno grabbed some of the bags, then turned around and looked back at Mee-Mee. She laughed through watery eyes. "What's that saying?" "Et tu, Bruno." Bruno, completely missing the joke, gave her one final look. "Princess Mel sent Abraham." Mee-Mee blinked. "Who?" Abraham stepped forward from the elevator. "Me." A pause. "You're a celebrity now and Mr. Park is leaving. Someone has to make sure you are safe." Joo-Won nodded as if he already knew about the arrangement. He grabbed Mee-Mee again, but this time it was for one more kiss. Then he slowly waved as the elevator doors slid shut. Mee-Mee sighed. She walked back to the suite and closed the door. Then Mee-Mee spent one final day in New York. Ingrid had lined up a fashion magazine interview, and several designers were interested in collaborating with her online boutique. So for a little while, she experienced New York not as the wife of a global superstar, but as a successful businesswoman in her own right. That night, back inside the quiet hotel suite, Mee-Mee kicked off her heels and smiled as her phone lit up. It was Joo-Won. She answered immediately. "Already missing me?" "Obviously." He smiled, but something told her this wasn't just a check-in. He was looking at her differently. This was a new expression she hadn't seen before. She sat upright. "What happened?" He could barely contain himself. Ji-sun said the booking agent, the team that handles tour logistics, said they loved Adrienne's performance with Sejun. Mee-Mee finger clapped. "That's because my cuz ate. She ate that down." Joo-Won laughed. "She did." Then he paused. A smile slowly spread across his face. "Apparently you did too." Mee-Mee blinked. "They want you to perform a song with me." Silence. "Then wait me at a concert." Joo-Won nodded. "Not Chicago, the next stop. I guess the fans love when we sing together." Mee-Mee sat speechless. Her eyes began to water again, not because she was thinking about performing, because she was remembering every moment she had doubted herself. Joo-Won smiled softly. They all see what I see. Mee-Mee laughed through happy tears. You know I love singing to my Juju. He smiled. Baby, I know. Then he sighed reluctantly. I gotta go. Mee-Mee nodded. Joo-Won kissed the screen. I love you. She laughed and blew him a kiss. I love you. The call ended almost too soon for Mee-Mee. She remained seated for a long moment, smiling to herself. Then she looked out at the New York skyline. Tomorrow she would head to Atlanta, but first, a pit stop layover back home in Petersburg, Virginia. She had a cousin to surprise. Several days had passed since MIn-Jae and Dinah returned home. Their late 19th century Victorian, Second Empire house stood proudly beside the shade of trees, its freshly restored porch making it one of Petersburg's most admired historic homes. Built in the 1800s, the house had become a true labor of love. Dinah had spent months restoring every room, blending the home's vintage character with soft ocean colors, inspired by her Californian roots. It was elegant, comfortable, very different from their upscale, modern compound in Seoul, and still very much a work in progress. The sound of hammers echoed through the house. Paint sat open in the foyer. Ladders leaned against freshly repaired walls. What looked like a professional renovation crew was, in reality, were Min-Jae's top assistant and his two best bodyguards. Kyunho stood near the staircase carefully painting crown molding. Sun-young disappeared beneath the kitchen sink while wrestling with a stubborn pipe. Across the dining room, Joo-hoon sat at a workbench studying blueprints and measurements with the concentration of an engineer preparing a space launch. Dinah walked through the house carrying a paint sample. Kyunho, the blue painter's tape stays on until after the second coat. Kyunho immediately stopped painting. Yes, Samonim. Dinah chuckled to herself. She was no longer a newlywed, but still wasn't used to the staff calling her Samonim, basically madam or the boss's wife in Korean. She continued toward the kitchen. Sun-young, that's the cold water line. A long pause. Then his muffled voice drifted out from beneath the sink. Thank you, Samonim. Min-Jae watched the exchange from across the room before slowly shaking his head. I hired the finest executive protection team in South Korea. He looked around the construction zone. Now they're restoring my house. Without missing a beat, Dinah smiled. They're very versatile. Even Min-Jae couldn't argue with that. Across the room, Kyunho adjusted his glasses while examining another page of measurements. I earned multiple degrees to analyze international security threats. He looked down at the lumber in front of him. Instead, now I'm analyzing why this piece of oak refuses to be square. Kyunho laughed. I'd rather chase armed kidnappers. A loud metallic clang rang out beneath the sink. Sun-young's voice followed immediately. Speak for yourself. Another clang. This is just as hard. The plumbing is trying to kill me. Laughter filled the house. Dinah smiled as she continued toward the living room. Soft footsteps padded quietly behind her. She stopped. The footsteps stopped. She glanced over her shoulder. Bond sat perfectly still, staring up at her with enormous green eyes. She smiled and continued walking. A moment later, the footsteps returned. She stopped again. So did Bond. Min-Jae watched the silent exchange unfold for another several seconds before finally speaking. Is this a Velcro cat? Dinah. Think he just likes being wherever I am. But I don't know. This is a little odd. Min-Jae knelt beside the enormous Maine Coon and gently scratched behind his ears. Bond immediately leaned into his hand with a satisfied purr. Unlike almost everyone else in the world, he never hissed at Min-Jae. After 3 years together, Bond had quietly decided that Min-Jae belonged to him, too. My buddy, Min-Jae said softly. Bond blinked slowly. Then he looked back toward Dinah, as if reminding everyone exactly where his priorities still were. Min-Jae smiled. Even my buddy thinks you're the most important person in the room. Bond stood and walked directly to Dinah's feet once again. Min-Jae watched him for another moment. Then his smile slowly faded. You've been tired. I'm fine. You haven't been eating. Yes, I have, here and there. Min-Jae sighed. You've been sleeping more, like all the time. She folded her arms. So now you're monitoring my naps. I'm monitoring my wife. That made her laugh. I promise I'm okay. Before he could answer, Bond rubbed against her leg again. Min-Jae looked down at the cat, then back at Dinah. His concern hadn't changed. Dinah. She sighed dramatically. I know. He nodded toward Bond. He has an appointment today, right? She smiled. Yes, with Dr. Reecie. He looked toward Joo-hoon. He goes with you. Dinah laughed. I don't need a bodyguard to take my cat to the vet. I disagree. I'll survive. I'll worry less. She smiled, knowing the discussion was already over. Joo-Won said, shall I drive Samonim? She laughed. Looks like I don't have much of a choice. A short time later, Dina found herself walking into one of Petersburg's most respected veterinary clinics. The vet who greeted her was someone many locals already knew, Dr. Reecie. But around Petersburg, most people simply called her Dr. Reecie. The nickname had been given to her years earlier by the mayor. Somehow it had simply stuck. Dr. Reecie was the kind of person animals trusted almost immediately. Beautiful, brilliant, quietly confident. She had loved animals since childhood in Eritrea, and after studying veterinary medicine at Virginia Tech and Virginia State University, she had chosen Petersburg as her home. She kept her personal life private. But when it came to animals, her reputation spoke for itself, especially with her four-legged patients. After completing Bond's examination, Dr. Reecie smiled warmly. Mrs. O. Dina leaned forward. Yes. Your cat is perfectly healthy. Silence. Dina looked at Bond. Bond looked back, completely innocent. She frowned. Then why has he been following me everywhere? Dr. Reecie smiled. That's an interesting question. She gently scratched beneath Bond's chin. Because sometimes, she looked back at Dina. Animals know things before people do. Then Dina, Dr. Reecie, and Joo-Won all looked at Bond, and the examining room became very quiet. Rolling green pastures stretched beneath a brilliant Virginia sky. Grant and Brianna's ranch was alive with its usual rhythm. The horses grazed peacefully. The ranch hands moved between the barns. Mrs. Anderson had already declared that no one was leaving hungry. The smell of fried chicken, fresh biscuits, mashed potatoes, collard greens, and peach cobbler drifted from the farmhouse windows. Meanwhile, Pancake had assigned himself an entirely different responsibility. The energetic border collie proudly trotted back and forth, attempting to herd the ranch hands into one organized group. Unfortunately, they refused to cooperate. Grant laughed as Pancake barked proudly at a man nearly 3 times his size. I think he's promoted himself. Brianna smiled. Again. Grant wrapped an arm around his wife. Dylan should be here any minute. She nodded. You said the deliverers are dropping off his new horse today. Yep, he's coming here to meet them. Grant looked toward the entrance road. Actually, MIn-Jae's coming too, and Sun-Young Brianna smiled, so everybody and their grandma is coming here. Grant chuckled, pretty much. I also invited somebody else. Oh, Dr. Reecie, that horse just crossed half the country. I figured a wellness exam couldn't hurt. Moments later, a pair of black luxury SUVs rolled through the front gates. Behind them, a truck with a custom horse trailer. Grant walked forward with a grin. Dylan climbed out first, and MIn-Jae followed. Then Sun-Young. After several moments, Dylan signed paperwork and then the deliverers left. The trailer doors slowly opened. Inside stood an absolutely magnificent horse. Dylan couldn't hide his joy. There she is, my new baby. Grant whistled softly. She's gorgeous. Before anyone could admire her another second, another SUV quietly pulled into the driveway. A woman stepped out carrying nothing more than a veterinary bag. Not worried about grand introductions, she walked directly past every billionaire, every bodyguard, and every greeting straight to the horse. She ran experienced hands gently along the mare's neck, shoulders, and legs. Then she paused. Her expression changed, not dramatically, professionally. She looked toward the men. Who arranged the transport? Dylan answered confidently. My team did. She nodded once, request a refund. Silence. Grant blinked. MIn-Jae slowly folded his arms. Sun-Young wisely remained silent. Dylan frowned. I paid top dollar. Dr. Reecie examined another bruise. Then you overpaid. Grant suddenly found a fence post fascinating. MIn-Jae looked at his phone. Sun-Young looked determined not to smile. Dr. Reecie continued her examination as though nothing unusual had happened. This mare is dehydrated. She gently lifted one of the horse's front legs, and she's bruised. Dylan's expression became serious. They assured me she'd be transported with extraordinary care. They assured you incorrectly. She finally looked directly at him. For the first time, her voice remained calm. She's exhausted. The trip was too long without adequate hydration. They pushed her harder than they should have. Dylan's jaw tightened. Make some phone calls. I would. Then, without another word, Dr. Reecie disappeared into the stall carrying a bucket of fresh water. The mare refused it. Dr. Reecie simply waited, speaking softly. No one else could hear what she was saying. Within moments, the horse lowered her head and drank. Grant smiled quietly. She's good. Very, said MIn-Jae. Dr. Reecie carefully treated the bruising before making a few notes on her chart. Finally, she walked back toward Dylan and handed him some paperwork. You'll want to monitor her closely for the next 48 hours, she said. He nodded. I will. She gave one final glance toward the mare, then back to Dylan. And next time, a small pause. Do better. She walked away before he could answer. The entire ranch remained silent for several seconds. Grant looked toward MIn-Jae. MIn-Jae looked toward Dylan, then toward Dr. Reecie. Finally, he smiled. I like her. Grant laughed. So do I. She's the best. Across the yard, Mrs. Anderson had witnessed every single second. She hurried toward the farmhouse. Brianna barely looked up from setting the table. What happened now? Mrs. Anderson lowered her voice dramatically. That lady vet just gathered up that billionaire from one end of this ranch to the other. Brianna laughed so hard she nearly dropped a serving spoon. Who, Dr. Reecie? I know she did. Mrs. Anderson grinned. She gathered him up real good. Outside, Dylan looked down at the veterinary report, then toward Dr. Reecie as she quietly loaded her bag into her SUV. He smiled to himself, not because someone had impressed him, because someone had cared more about the horse than about who owned it, and somehow he respected that. Mee-Mee finally arrived to Petersburg. The afternoon sun warmed the backyard of her parents' home. It was filled with great memories like Joo-Won's proposal. For Mee-Mee, it was the most comfy place ever. The kind of place where conversations stretched longer than planned. It was still a little chilly, so she walked outside carrying a tray of warm drinks. Adrienne smiled as she looked at the mugs. Ooh, what did you make this time? You're always doing something. Mee-Mee smiled. It's vanilla matcha today. Adrienne rubbed her hands with excitement. They sat on the porch, enjoying a quiet afternoon away from their newfound celebrity life. For a few moments, they simply talked. Then Mee-Mee's smile grew. Okay, Adrienne looked over. Okay, what? I have news. Adrienne immediately smiled. Good news. The best. Mee-Mee leaned forward. I got the confirmation. Adrienne's eyes widened. About the show. Yes, she laughed. You're going to lose your mind. Adrienne said, but Mee-Mee. But she couldn't get a word in. Mee-Mee was too excited. Joo-Won told me the label wants you back for another performance date, she said. Adrienne opened her mouth, then stopped. Wait. Mee-Mee paused. Huh. Adrienne smiled sheepishly. Sejun already told me. Silence. Mee-Mee blinked. He did? Yeah. Then Mee-Mee said, okay, I see you. Adrienne laughed. What do you mean? Mee-Mee tilted her head. I'm just wondering. A pause. How often do you'll talk? Adrienne immediately looked away. Oh, we talk about rehearsals. But how often? We talk about the show and about music. He has great taste in music. Right, Mee-Mee smiled. Adrienne narrowed her eyes. Why are you making that face? What face? That face. Mee-Mee smiled innocently. I don't know what you're talking about. Adrienne laughed. You're crazy. Maybe. Mee-Mee leaned back. But I know that smile. Adrienne shook her head. No, you don't. Oh, I absolutely do. Adrienne's phone buzzed. Both women looked down. Sejun. Mee-Mee slowly smiled. Oh. Adrienne pointed at her. Don't. Mee-Mee didn't say anything. Answer the phone. Adrienne tried to hide her smile, but of course failed. Sejun was too cute. After the call ended, there was a comfortable silence. Mee-Mee looked at her. What's that song? Then she sang It's Written All Over Your Face. Adrienne sighed. What is? You're falling in love. Adrienne immediately laughed. No, I'm not. You're capping. I'm serious. Okay, girl. We might have kissed once. Twice. Okay, maybe 3 times, but we're friends. We're just working together. Mee-Mee laughed. I don't know if friends kiss once, twice, 3 times. Adrienne folded her arms. You're enjoying this way too much. Once Adrienne left, Mee-Mee couldn't wait to call Mel on FaceTime to discuss the tea. The moment the call connected. 'Cause guess what? Mel said. What? But before Mee-Mee could explain, another voice interrupted. Behind Mel, someone said, perfect timing. Mee-Mee froze. Ingrid appeared on the screen. She had slid in front of Mel. There she was, professional, prepared, focused. I see that you're available. That means that everyone is available to meet. Mee-Mee blinked. Everyone? Ingrid nodded. Yes. Then Jenny appeared on the screen, looking frustrated. Jenny looked around. Wait, I have a nail appointment. Why am I here? Ingrid smiled. Because you are part of this. Jenny looked suspicious. That sounds like something someone says right before assigning me more work. Mee-Mee covered her face. I was trying to gossip. Now Ingrid has snatched me up. Ingrid nodded. Meeting time. Mee-Mee and Jenny sighed dramatically, while Mel laughed hysterically. Later that night, Mee-Mee curled up on her childhood bed, surrounded by memories of the life she had before everything changed. Some of the posters were gone. The room was different, but somehow being back home made her feel like the girl she used to be. Her phone lit up. It was Joo-Won. A smile immediately spread across her face. She answered. "Hey, husband." On the other end of the call, Joo-Won was lying back against a hotel pillow, his hair still damp from his post-show shower. Even exhausted, he was smiling. "Hey, wifey," Mee-Mee laughed softly. "You sound tired." "I am tired." A pause. "But I wanted to hear your voice." Her smile softened. "How was the show?" "Crazy," he rubbed his eyes. "The fans were amazing. I think my ears are still ringing." "That means you did your job." He smiled. "Actually." A small spark returned to his voice. "Ji-sun told us that you, Adrienne, and Bora will perform at the Atlanta show." Mee-Mee sat up. "Oh, wow." Then Joo-Won said, "Before you get too excited, there are a few things." She laughed. "Of course there are. The group has to finish LA first, then Seattle," she said, "and after that," he smiled, "Atlanta." Mee-Mee covered her mouth, trying not to grin too much. "Your wife might actually become a K-pop backup dancer." "My wife is going to be the best performer on that stage." "Boy, you're biased." "Yes." He didn't even hesitate. She laughed. The sound immediately relaxed him. For a moment, neither of them said anything. They just listened to each other's breathing. Then Joo-Won sighed. "I should sleep." "Yes, you should. But," he smiled, "I want to go to sleep with a good thought." Mee-Mee immediately knew where this was going. "Uh-oh." He laughed. "Why is there an uh-oh?" Mee-Mee giggled. "I know that voice." "What voice?" "That voice." He grinned. "Tell me what you're wearing." Mee-Mee teased as if she didn't hear what he said. "What did you say?" Joo-Won chuckled, then asked again, "Baby, what are you wearing? Or do I need to sing this question to you?"
Hotel floor, I just sang. I set my bag down, call your name. Me, pick up. Don't let it ring too long. Moon on the glass, you're side of town. I'm in the room with the shades pulled down, and I can't sleep right till I hear you talk. You laugh soft, say, "What's up, baby?" I say, tell me, don't tease me." I miss that touch, I miss that home. You know exactly what you're doing, you know exactly what I'm missing. Peekaboo, you're my boo. Me, what you wearing to bed? Me, got me out of my head. You know exactly what you're doing, you know exactly what I'm missing.
Her man's voice always did something to her. She said, "The mic was on, Mr. Park." But then Mee-Mee looked down at her oversized flannel pajamas, the exact opposite of what her husband was probably imagining. She smiled. "I'm wearing that little nightie Mel bought me for the honeymoon." Joo-Won's eyes widened. "The one you never got to wear." "That one." He laughed quietly. "You're telling me this now?" "You asked." He shook his head. "That's dangerous information, wife." "Oh, really? Really?" A pause. "I wish I was there to take it off." Mee-Mee bit back a laugh because the truth was she was sitting cross-legged on her childhood bed wearing plaid pajamas. But she decided some secrets were more fun. "I wish you were here too," she sighed, then added, "Go to bed, Mr. Park." He smiled. "Okay," a beat. "I love you, Mee-Mee." Her expression softened. "I love you too, Joo-Won." He smiled. In a quieter voice, he said, "I love you" in Korean, "Sarangha." Mee-Mee repeated it carefully. "Sarangha." His smile grew. "Perfect." Mee-Mee said with excitement, "Really?" Joo-Won huffed. "No," she gasped. "Joo-Won." Then he laughed. "Almost perfect." She smiled. "Then you better start teaching me." "Teaching you Korean?" "Yes, sir. I want to be able to talk to your family, your fans, and you." That made him smile more than anything else. "I'll teach you. Get you Duolingo or something." Mee-Mee laughed. "Promise?" He said, "Promise." They stayed on the phone a few moments longer, neither one wanting to be the first to say goodbye, and then they said goodnight. Nearly 15 minutes from Mee-Mee, the sprawling equestrian estate rested beneath a blanket of moonlight. Rows of pristine white fencing stretched across perfectly manicured fields. Inside the largest stable, one of the most valuable horses in the world slept peacefully. A magnificent black stallion. worth $40 million, protected by cameras, motion sensors, electronic gates, and a team of armed security guards who believed nothing could penetrate the estate's defenses. They were wrong. A white utility truck rolled slowly toward the service entrance. Its magnetic company logo looked authentic. Its paperwork appeared flawless. Even its license plates passed inspection. The guard glanced down at the work order. Emergency electrical repair. He barely hesitated. The gate lifted. The truck disappeared inside. No one noticed the men weren't electricians. 4 figures stepped from the vehicle wearing charcoal gray tactical uniforms beneath reflective utility jackets. Black baseball caps shadowed their faces. Thin communication earpieces disappeared behind their ears, while black gloves concealed every fingerprint. Their movements were calm, disciplined, practiced. Nothing about them suggested panic. They looked like men who had rehearsed this operation 100 times before. One removed a compact electronic device from a hard case. Another quietly attached it beneath the security control panel. Within seconds, every surveillance camera froze on the exact same image. The lights flickered once, then settled. To anyone watching remotely, nothing had changed. Inside the stable, the stallion slowly lifted its head. Its ears twitched. It sensed them before it saw them. One man approached slowly, speaking in a calm whisper, "It's okay." Another administered a carefully measured tranquilizer. Just enough. The magnificent animal relaxed almost immediately. They worked with remarkable precision. No shouting, no rushing, no wasted movement. Within moments, the horse disappeared into a custom-built trailer lined with padded walls and climate controls. The rear doors closed with barely a sound. The truck turned toward the main road and vanished into the darkness. Nearly 3 minutes later, the surveillance system finally rebooted. Red warning lights flashed across the security monitors. Alarms erupted throughout the estate. Guards sprinted toward the stable. The stall stood empty. $40 million gone somewhere far beyond the ranch. Hey, loves, what do you think? Who stole the $40 million horse and why? But even more importantly, how will Dylan, Grant, and Yes MIn-Jae react when they find out? Because we all know one thing about MIn-Jae. He does not play when it comes to the people he loves. And we know that Mee-Mee is a little nervous to sing at the big concert in the A. But we also know that 1 Peter 4:10 says that each of us should use whatever gifts we have to serve others. So we wonder just how will she use her gift? And speaking of things we can't stop wondering about, Bon the cat. If he isn't sick, then what's the real reason this giant Maine Coon has been glued to Dina's side? And of course, the question everyone keeps asking, is her life about to change forever? You'll have to come back for episode 13 to find out. This has been Christmas in Old Towne Love Stories. If you found yourself replaying the music from our episodes, the Joo-Won and Friends albums, Part 1 and Part 2, are available now on Apple Music, Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, Amazon Music, and many other streaming platforms. And coming soon, Part 3, featuring Joo-Won's 2 brand new songs from this episode, along with fan-favorite bops from episode 11. Don't forget to subscribe, share this episode with a friend, and leave us a comment. We love hearing from you. Tell us, what was your favorite moment from this episode? Until next time, have a merry every little thing.
Hotel floor, I just sang. I set my bag down, call your name. Me, pick up. Don't let it ring too long. Moon on the glass, you're side of town. I'm in the room with the shades pulled down, and I can't sleep right till I hear you talk. You laugh soft, say, what's up, baby? I say, tell me, don't tease me. I miss that touch, I miss that home. You know exactly what you're doing, you know exactly what I'm missing. Peekaboo. Everything shine when you move your hand. I picture you by the dress of lamb. Brace still up, t-shirt on your skin. I'm on tour, but I'm right there. In the way you bite your lip, don't care. If you keep me up, I'll call again. Say you pick that soft gray set, or that OT I always get. I love the way you make me wait. You know exactly what you're doing. You know exactly how to pull me closer. Miles don't mean much when your voice is here. Me, what you wearing up there? Me, got me out of my head. You know exactly what you're doing. You know exactly what I'm missing. Me, say it slow for me. Say it slow for me. Let me hear that sweet. You know exactly what you're doing. You know exactly what I'm missing. Hold a line a little longer. Let me live in this minute. I'm a little more yours tonight, even from a different city. Say my name like you mean it, then laugh when I get weak. Home feels close when you speak. Me, what you wearing now?